welcome back to the Who Are You to Lead Anyway podcast. It's Cynthia Jamieson. This is episode 91. This is the podcast where we master the skills we need to navigate leadership and life. How are you doing out there? I'm assuming wherever you are in this beautiful world, the weather is shifting and changing for you. At least that's what's happening over here in Canada for me. Right now, it's Friday as I'm recording this, and it is raining outside. So I decided to just come in here and talk to you instead. So, in today's episode, I'm super excited because I want to delve into something that's super important, which is about bridging the gap between where you are now in your career and where you aspire or desire to be. Now, this has been on my mind and on a lot of my clients' minds, which is why I wanted to share it with you because regardless of where you are in your journey, it's important to think about from a leadership and a life perspective. So, the way that the episode is going to go is from a flow perspective. Let's first understand your current position, like where you are now. It's interesting. I have a coach that uses this analogy of going into the mall and trying to find a particular store that maybe you haven't been in before, and how you go to the directory and it says, like, you are here, and then you find where you want to go. So, that's going to be like, that's the overarching thought that I had in creating this episode for you. So, let's understand your current position. Let's clarify your future goals. Where do you want to go? What's the store, if we stick with the analogy? And then, third, we're going to get into how to bridge the gap between where you are, where you want to be. And of course, we have to talk about overcoming the limiting patterns that are keeping us where we are and keeping us from stepping forward to where we want to be. So, as always, I will offer actionable steps and strategies to empower you to navigate your career trajectory with intentionality and purpose. Like everything that I do here for you on this podcast and with all of my clients is in service of you and the purpose, like the future and the life that you want to create for yourself. So I do have a caveat. As you listen, I just want to raise your awareness to the fact that there are a couple of things that, from your lens, may sound repetitive. But the reason that I have categorized the flow of the podcast in this way is that regardless of which phase you're in with regard to your career, you can listen to that part specifically in the podcast. And I'll be sure to add chapter markets to make that easier for you. But also, there are nuances. So you will hear me talk. So, for an example, you'll hear me talk about getting feedback, and that looks differently depending on the phase or the stage that you're in. So, the other caveat is, I guess I have two of them. I'm not sure how long this episode will be, but I am trying really hard to get this in before my client session that I have today. There's just a lot going on from a life perspective, and I wanted to make sure that I get this episode out for you. So, I wanted to cover it in one episode, and I decided we were going to do that. So let's dive in, shall we? I appreciate you for being here. I'm so grateful to be able to have this conversation. I always look forward to these because it's like I imagine us just sitting at the coffee shop, just having a conversation. And that's what I hope is coming across for you as you listen. So, knowing where you currently stand in your professional journey involves a little self assessment and external feedback. And there are practical steps, of course, that you can take to help you determine where you are now. And the best place to begin, in my view, and of course, other people can have other views, but the best place that I think it is to start is to begin with self reflection, asking yourself questions like, what are my current responsibilities and duties in my role? What skills and competencies do I bring to my job? How satisfied am I with my current job or my work life balance? Like, how satisfied am I with that? What achievements or challenges have I experienced recently? And what aspects of my work do I enjoy the most, or what aspects do I find the most challenge? So, even in just asking these types of questions, brings into your awareness a deeper understanding of your current professional situation. And as you begin to answer them, you're going to identify some areas for growth and some improvement in your career. So, a coach tip I want to offer is just as you go through this work, jot down some of the thoughts that you're having as you go. So, for example, I could imagine that as you look at the current roles and responsibilities that you're having and doing, you might find things that are not yours or not yours any longer, As we progress through different positions, it's interesting. We tend to take things with us that we don't transition over or turn over to the people that take on our last position. So there could be some of that for you, which might be an opportunity to delegate or transition, depending on if you can do that or not. Because I do realize some of you listening to this podcast may or may not be in that position. So it's important to ask, though, if what you are doing is serving where you want to go, who you want to be in the future or not. So, one of the key components of understanding where you are is to conduct a skills inventory for the role that you're in. And depending on how clear you are about where you're going, this can be super helpful in that regard with determining the gap. So, there's two pieces to it. From a technical aspect, so there's technical skills inventory, and then there's those not so soft leadership skills. So assess your proficiency level in each set of skills and consider how they align with the requirements of your current role. So you can use tools like self assessment surveys or skill assessment frameworks. Your organization may already have its own model, you may be already using it that can help you evaluate your skills objectively. But you can also just keep it simple and just use a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being like the best there is. You can just list the skills and just keep it simple. You can totally make this as simple or as complex as you want to, but the point is to do the inventory itself. Then gather up and review any recent performance evaluations or feedback from your supervisors, from your peers, from people who know you. And here what you're looking for specifically is to bring it through the lens of areas where you have received both praise and recognition, as well as areas where you may need improvement, and really hone in on and look for recurring themes or patterns in the feedback that you receive. So, for example, you might have noticed, I'm not sure where you would be if you haven't noticed this, but you might have noticed the pace of change is only increasing. So you might need to proactively embrace change, pivot quickly, and lead your teams through periods of uncertainty and disruption, including digital fluency, in order to stay abreast of emerging technologies. Like, given the strides that AI is making, and I know companies have different policies on this, but as someone who's listening that is in IT, like that will be super important for you to be on the edge of that. Another area to think about, given most of the people that listen to this podcast are high performers, it's possible that you'll see feedback highlighting a need for you to manage your stress and seek support to maintain your energy, your focus, and your effectiveness over the long term, right? Maybe what got you here won't get you where you're going. So I did do an episode on how to help you with that. You can find that back in episode 11, Build Mental Fitness and Change Your Life. So if you haven't listened to that one yet, or if you want a refresher, it's there for you. Next, let's look at goal alignment. Just think about and evaluate how your current role aligns with your long term career goals and aspirations. Again, this can be super simple, just using a scale of your choosing. Ask yourself, like, how aligned is it? Right? Is it a 6 out of 10? Is it a 9 out of 10? And then just consider whether your current position provides opportunities for growth and advancement, or if there are opportunities, or not opportunities, but if there are areas where you feel stagnant, perhaps there are areas where you feel unfulfilled. So, what action or change can you take to make a shift into a better alignment with where you're going? And we're absolutely gonna get into that later on in the episode, but even taking a look at that, there could be a shift that comes up. So just make a note of it. Now, consider as you do this, I talked about, or just briefly mentioned, like consider seeking feedback from trusted colleagues, mentors, or peers who can provide an objective perspective on your strengths, your weaknesses, and your areas for growth. Again, this is the lens that they're looking at you from, but you might want to ask them some specific examples or instances where they may have observed your performance or behavior, or even like as you think about going forward, like having those people that you trust in the room as you deliver a presentation, for example, like to have them there to observe and then collect the feedback after that. You can consider like research industry standards and benchmarks for your role or your field to gain a broader understanding of where you stand relative to your peers. So here you can look for salary surveys, you can look for job market reports or professional association data, depending on the profession that you're in, that can provide insights into typical roles, responsibilities, and skill requirements. So a few examples are like if I think about the US, the Society for Human Resources Management, or SHRM, it's known as, perhaps the American Marketing Association, AMA, the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, so the IEEE. And then there's government agencies. I mean, they publish labor market stats, including median salaries, job outlooks, and employment trends. And of course, there's job online platforms. So, I mean, I could do an episode just on this. You get the idea. But use your resources. Google is there or ChatGPT is there for you to use as a resource for yourself so that you can get more specific to what applies to you and your circumstance. One of the other things that you can do is conduct a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I know we typically do these as it relates to your organization, but you also can do it personally. And I'm not going to get into this a lot here today, but because I've done an episode of this on this very thing before, you can find that back in episode 8. It's so interesting to me as I go along and just keep doing this podcast how I was intentional and purposeful when I set out, but now I have the ability to kind of like draw on those resources to just kind of support you with as we get more in depth into the work that we're doing. So, by combining self reflection, feedback from others, and objective assessment methods, you can gain a clear understanding of where you currently stand in your career journey. And that awareness is so good to have because it serves as a foundation for setting goals and developing strategies to progress toward that future that you're creating for yourself. So now let's transition to part 2. Let's determine where you want to go in your career. And so when you think about that, that also involves a process of self-reflection and exploration and goal or intention setting, depending on it's interesting. I have so many thoughts going on in my brain right now. It's like there's goal setting, there's intention setting, and then there's attention that is all required. And so take what serves you, right? So if there's something here that's for you, perfect, do that. And the rest of it, like throw it in the trash bin. But just identify the things that can support you along your career aspirations, your career goals. All right. So the first piece is like reflect on the things that you feel passionate about and that you're interested in. Like, what are the past experiences or projects that have brought you fulfillment, that brought you satisfaction, that light you up? Consider what activities or topics you're most passionate about doing and enjoy. And if you've been with me since the beginning, you've already likely done this. But if you're new to me to my work, assess your values and your priorities. Like really, truly identify, take time to identify what matters to you in your career, in your life. Consider things like work-life balance, opportunities for growth and advancement, financial stability, and alignment with your personal values. And if you want more guidance, episode 3, Clarify Your Values and Resolve Conflict, will walk you through everything. If you want to live and lead in alignment with who you are, I promise you this is the way to do it. I just only hope for you that you can do this work because you will be so surprised at how differently your internal state becomes as you walk with what matters, as you really lean into what is super important to you and matters to you, really what you value, the frustration, the stress, all of those sorts of things, along with mindset tools, totally shift. Your experience totally shifts, I promise you. So, if you are feeling into a change for yourself, I just invite you to research and explore some various career paths. Perhaps there's some industries and roles that align with your interests and values that you maybe have in the back of your mind. So you might, if that's for you, you might want to reach out to some professionals in your desired field for some informational interviews or networking opportunities in order to gain insights into different career paths. And if you do, consider asking them, like, what is it you love about what you do? What is it you don't love about what you do? Would they choose that again and again for themselves? Do they love it that much? And that approach can help you design your way forward, which of course brings me to long term goals. So, wherever you envision or see yourself in the future, both professionally and personally, like what is that for you? Setting long term career goals that align with your aspirations and your values can be super important. And that might mean that you need to visualize your ideal job role, like the level of responsibility you want to have, the impact you want to make in the field you want to be in. And this is as good a place as any to say the world is changing so much. So who knows what will exist in the future, which is what makes doing this even more compelling to allow yourself to think outside of the systems that we have today and the thinking that we're all, like, quite frankly, that we're all accustomed to and have been conditioned to think. So once you've done that, like let your brain just explore. But once you've done that, which can feel like a bit like the elephant. And what do we do with the elephant? We break it down. So break down your longer term goals into smaller, manageable steps or milestones. And then from there, identify the short term objectives that will help you progress toward your long term aspirations. This is not to overwhelm you. This is just to say the feeling of overwhelm can come up as you even think about this. And I don't want you to feel stuck. I really, really don't. I want you to keep going because this matters to you. All right. Well, we've talked about feedback and guidance. There is a nuance here with regard to potential career paths or networking with seeking guidance from professionals who've achieved success in your desired field. And just in saying that, that brings me back in, I can't, like grade 12, grade 11, grade 12, interviewing an accountant, which somehow I thought would be a really great career for me. If you know me, like I am just math is totally not my preference. Anyways, I remember I was interviewing this accountant, and as he was answering my questions, I remember thinking to myself, "Oh no, I can't, like I just totally can't see myself doing this for a long time." Now, what's funny about that is I actually did work in accounts payable, in accounts receivable. I manage a checkbook very well, and as part of my first stint in the office. But I'm happy to say that someone saw something in me, and I'm super grateful for that personnel manager at the time because I loved my career in HR, and now coaching is just another way to work with people, and that's what was really super important for me. So now what's important about what I'm just saying as it relates to you is stay open to opportunities, remain open-minded and flexible as you explore different career paths and opportunities. Be willing to adapt your goals and your plans based on the new experiences, the insights, and the changes in the industry landscapes that you're going to discover. If I hadn't been open, I could still be working on the abattoir floor. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but let's just be real. I would not have met my potential if I hadn't said yes to the opportunities that were given to me. I mean, I fought for a lot of opportunities, but then there were opportunities also that presented themselves along the way. So as you go along, you will get different opportunities. And all this to say, regularly reviewing and reassessing your career goals and your aspirations is super important. Take a moment to reflect on your progress, your achievements, and any changes in your interests or your priorities. And then just adjust your goals and your plans from there as needed to ensure that they are aligned with your evolving aspirations. Now, I do this every year on my birthday, which, by the way, when you're listening to this episode, it will be on my birthday if you're listening in real time. But all this to say, I will be doing this work for myself. And I'm so grateful that I do this because it's one of the biggest reasons I feel like I've accomplished as much as I have in the lifetime that I have so far. And so for you, by following whatever steps speak to you and engaging in that ongoing self reflection and exploration for yourself, you will gain clarity on where you want to go in your career. And by taking actionable steps, you will achieve your goals. I can promise you. So, now let's transition to bridging the gap between your current position and your desired future position. Now, this is about taking more proactive steps to align your actions and behaviors with the goals that you have. And here are some ways to bridge the gap effectively. The first piece is set clear goals, define them for yourself, use the SMART framework, and just break them down into smaller, actionable steps to make them more manageable for yourself. And then from there, it can be super easy. These two pieces can kind of go together, right? You set the goal, but then develop the plan. Create the plan outlining the actions you need to take to achieve that. Prioritize based on the importance that you have and the urgency you have. And I guess, think about like how much time and how much resources are going to be required for you to do that. But again, it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be a plan on your notes app. It could be even in your mind. It doesn't have to be hard. The point is to have a plan. And then from there, then it's about identifying and acquiring any necessary skills or competencies that are required for your desired future role that are currently lacking. And then take steps to acquire those skills. Maybe there's a training that you need to get. Maybe there's some education that you need to have, or maybe there's some professional development opportunity that you can get. It could be as simple as a LinkedIn course. It could be as simple as reading a book. Like, again, it doesn't have to be complicated. But as you go through, the next step just kind of reveals itself, right? Like, as you're going about and you're connecting with and figuring out like what you need and connecting with the professional development that you've identified, while you're doing that work, think about the ways to expand your network. Like, build relationships with the individuals who can support you and your career aspirations. Perhaps they're mentors, perhaps they're industry professionals, perhaps they're peers in the desired field that you're going to meet and interview. Networking can provide valuable opportunities for learning, collaboration, and career advancement. And when you're networking, it would shock me actually if you didn't get opportunities to be able to take some risks, calculate a risk. So be willing to step out of your comfort zone and take on new challenges or opportunities that again line with your goals, because we live in a world where things change. They change a lot and they change quickly. So I want to invite you to just embrace uncertainty and view those any setbacks that you might have as you're stepping forward into this as learning experiences that contribute to your growth and your development. In other words, life is for you, and living and leading is a great teacher for all of us as students. So stay persistent, stay resilient, and understand that bridging the gap may require some time, some effort, some energy, and some perseverance on your part to stay focused on your goals, maintain that positive mindset, and be resilient in the face of any, like I said, obstacles or challenges. We are playing the game of life. So that brings up another point. Like, don't forget to celebrate the milestones along the way, no matter how small they are, because recognizing your progress can boost your confidence and your motivation to continue working toward your desired future and the life that you're creating for for yourself. So by implementing the strategies that I've just outlined here consistently and adapting them to your own unique circumstance, you can effectively bridge the gap between where you are currently and where you want to go. Okay, now let's transition to the last part. Of course, you will be faced with overcoming limiting patterns, which requires self awareness, intentional effort, and the willingness to challenge and change ingrained behaviors and beliefs. And so I want to offer you a few strategies to help you overcome those patterns. Now, the first step always is in identifying them. Identify and acknowledge the specific limiting pattern of thinking or behavior that's holding you back. And you probably know what they are already. Reflect on situations where you feel stuck or encounter recurring obstacles and pinpoint the underlying beliefs or habits contributing to these patterns. If you are new to me and my work, like just notice what are the trains of thought that you have that are holding you back. And once you've identified that limiting pattern, challenge the negative thought or the negative belief associated with it. Because you can replace the negative self talk, which is not serving you, with more positive and empowering talk. Like how you talk to yourself can be completely different. I can't recall if I've ever mentioned this on the podcast before, but Byron Katie's work, it's called The Work. You can Google that. It's amazing. I will link it up in the show notes if I can remember. Otherwise, again, you can Google it. But one of her questions that I really love, and it's super, like I use it all the time for myself, is like, who would you be or what would you be doing if you didn't have this thought? So for me, every time, whatever the thought is, it's like doesn't even matter. But every time I ask myself, like, who would I be or what would I be doing if I didn't have this thought? I would be doing the thing that I'm afraid of doing. And the same is likely to be true for you too. This is how negative thinking or negative patterns get in the way. So, as you do this work, cultivate mindfulness within you to be able to observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment. Like mindfulness practices and tapping in to what you're thinking can help you become more aware of those automatic thoughts, automatic reactions, and then you can it creates space for more conscious decision making. Now, of course, this will provide you, when you start to do that, it's going to provide you with opportunities to shift your perspective on challenges or setbacks by reframing them as opportunities for growth and learning. Instead of viewing failures as a reflection of your ability, see them as a valuable experience that can contribute to your professional and personal development instead. As you do this work, consider any support that you might need along the way. Share your challenges, your goals with those that you trust who can offer you encouragement, perspective, and accountability as you work to overcome those limiting patterns. Now, this is one of the reasons that I love masterminding so much, right? Or I love being in a group coaching program so much is that I not only get to overcome my own limiting patterns, but also I feel supported in the best ways as I do that work, not to mention being exposed to the patterns of others that are thinking and behaving that are like ahead of me, so that I know what's coming next as I keep reaching toward my goals. And also, I can help other people who haven't been where I am yet. So I just love that. It's like a full there's a full circle there that we reach. So as we do this type of work, be sure to challenge yourself to take proactive steps like outside of your comfort zone, right? Like that's all growth exists outside of your comfort zone. So in order to do that, you have to disrupt those familiar patterns and create new opportunities for growth, and then experiment with just different approaches, different strategies and behaviors to see what works best for you. This isn't about taking all of Cynthia's guidance and applying it to you. It's about taking what seems interesting and good for you that can progress you to find what works for you. Like you are the expert on you and only you will know. Right? So all that that was another tangent. This is a part of me. So I'll be totally transparent here. This is one of those things where I was like asking myself. So I typically script out a lot of these episodes. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to freestyle a little bit more. And so if I was thinking I didn't need to script, what would I be doing? I would just be freestyling a bit more. So I'm just sharing that with you. And to bring it back to center here, I would be very remiss if I didn't talk about the importance of being kind and compassionate to yourself as you navigate the process of overcoming limiting patterns. Listen, lasting change and creating lasting change for ourselves takes time and effort and energy. And you're going to make some missteps along the way. So be sure to forgive yourself for that, right? And if that feels hard for you, because a lot of the clients get drawn to me, beat themselves up a lot, just consider, how would you treat a friend? right? And just treat yourself with that same kindness, with that same understanding that you would offer a friend facing those similar challenges. Because here's what I can promise you: by implementing the strategies that resonate with you consistently and intentionally, you can absolutely overcome limiting patterns and cultivate a more positive, empowering mindset that not only supports your growth, but here's the interesting thing: you get to change the experience that you're having, right? And a lot of you, because you're high achievers, you're stressed, you're pressured, you're feeling responsible, you're feeling accountable. And while some of that can be positive, a lot of that is not positive. A lot of that is not serving you, and it doesn't have to be that way. You can do what you need to do and have an entirely different experience as you do it. So, as I wrap up, I want to emphasize that the journey of leadership development is ongoing, it's multifaceted, and by embracing self awareness, setting clear goals, and taking proactive steps to bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to go, you can continue to grow and evolve as a leader. And remember, leadership is not about where you start, it's about the journey of growth and the transformation along the way. And if you want the support of a coach for your transformation and you want to work with me, all of the details are in the show notes and you know how to find me. So let's connect. So I want to thank you so much for tuning in today to today's episode of Who Are You to Lead Anyway? I hope that you found this helpful, the insights, the strategies, the shared stories, all of this in service of your journey. I invite you to stay tuned for more episodes where we continue to explore topics essential for new, emerging, and high achieving leaders. And until next time, keep leading authentically with purpose and passion. I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye. Hey there, it's Cynthia. Thanks for being a part of the Who Are You to Lead Anyway journey. Join my newsletter for exclusive updates and resources. Get a complimentary self discovery workbook at www.cynthiajamiesoncoach.ca. Your feedback shapes this show, so share your thoughts. And if you love the podcast, help spread the word. Thanks for investing in your leadership growth. Let's thrive together.